Throughout history, slavery has existed in many parts of the world, including Africa. The people who were forced into slavery came from various walks of life. Many were farmers, merchants, priests, soldiers, or even musicians. They were fathers, they were mothers, they were sons, and they were daughters, they were cousins, they were aunts. There's just a whole bunch of them.
The slave trade began in Western Africa, Senegal and Angola. A shortage of labor in the Americas led to the beginning of the Atlantic slave trade. Europeans needed workers to help grow cash crops on their plantations. As a result, many Africans were forcibly taken to the Americas before the slave trade ended in the 1800s.
Triangular trade was a network lasting from the 1600s to the 1800s, and it carried goods and enslaved people between Europe, the Americas, and Africa.
So, the Middle Passage were the voyages that brought enslaved Africans across the Atlantic Ocean to North America and the West Indies. The journey to the Americas usually lasted 3 to 6 weeks. Between 10 to 20% of all captive Africans did not survive the voyage. When those who did survive arrived, they still faced more terrors, the auction block, and an uncertain future.
Slaves were traded for firearms or other goods. Others kidnapped on slave raids organized by European traders. The first leg was goods carried to Africa to be exchanged for slaves. Second was the Middle Passage, where they were chained together and forced into cramped quarters. Third leg, American products, such as sugar, were brought to Europe.
Slaves had no rights and no freedoms, and slaveholders controlled most of the conditions under which they lived.
Enslaved Africans coped with these inhumane conditions. Some resisted by trying to keep their cultural traditions alive. Others turned to religion for strength and hope for a better life. Some even fought back by slowing down their work or even destroying equipment.
Occasionally, they revolted by attacking slaveholders and their families. Some slaves were able to flee.
There was a quote from one of the people on the ship saying, "The stench of the old was so intolerably loathsome that it was dangerous to remain there for any time. The closeness of the place and the heat of the climate almost suffocated us. The shrieks of the women and the groans of the dying rendered the whole scene of horror almost inconceivable." 10.7 million survived the dreaded Middle Passage, disembarking in North America, the Caribbean, and South America.
Effects of slave trade. African descent spread throughout the Americas and Western Europe.
Some other effects of the Atlantic slave trade were devastation among societies in Western Africa. An estimated 15 to 20 million Africans were shipped to the Americas. Millions of more slaves were sent to Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Countless people died. Slavery deprived millions of people of their freedom. Division among the Africans between each other. Enrichment to other parts of the world, and the American colonies' economies thrived. In conclusion, the Middle Passage was a terrifying ordeal. It was scary and not the place to be.